Our very own Michael Gayle is retiring. And so I'm going to turn this over to Jonathan. Jonathan, do you want to share your screen? Do you want me to stop sharing mine?
No, you can keep, I mean, you can keep your screen as it is. I don't have any spectacular visual displays. I considered putting up a bunch of embarrassing pictures, but then I thought better of it. I saved the embarrassing pictures for the department meeting where Mike wasn't there. Um, and that picture is a pretty good one because I think I'm sitting right next to him in that picture, and wisely I'm cut out of it. Um,
I actually do cut you out.
yeah, both. Thank you.
Sorry.
No, I appreciate that. I think you're doing everyone a service. Um, and so, yeah, obviously, you may have heard that Mike is retiring at the end of the semester. In fact, I just got an email yesterday that said December 16th is your official last day. On December 17th, you no longer work as a professor at SUNY New Paltz. You are now an emeritus retired professor.
On December 17th, they shut off all my access to everything.
That's probably one of the best things they could do. um, and so, if you've had an opportunity to have Mike as one of your professors, I would say count yourself lucky. I can speak most to having Mike as a colleague, and I consider myself lucky. When I got to SUNY New Paltz very many years ago, I believe 1996, so it's like 25 years ago. This was a very different place, and there were not a lot of junior faculty on campus at that time. It was kind of a faculty where a lot of people were kind of advanced in their careers, and it was a tough place for a new faculty member to arrive and sort of try to figure out how to fit in here. And I was lucky enough that Mike Gayle had been here a couple of years before that. He'd gotten here. I imagine it was that much more challenging when he got here, and there were probably very few new junior faculty members. Most of the people had been here for a couple of decades, and
there were none.
Yeah, there was nobody, right? I mean, it was amazing. It was a different place. I mean, when I got here, I had a young daughter at that time. I was like, I didn't know any other faculty member on campus with a kid. I mean, there was nobody else my age, and so, now of course we all know Mike is much older than I am, so that we're just, I'm not putting myself in the same age group, of course. But that being said, Mike was closer in age to me, and it was incredibly helpful to me to have him here. And, in thinking about this, I was coming up with just kind of words that I think of when I think of Mike. And, rigorous would be one of the first words that comes to mind. If you've had him as a professor, you know this, right? Rigorous, and he has very high standards. And you'll learn a lot, but you'll work really hard in learning a lot, and that'll be a good thing, although sometimes when you're going through it, you may not think that. Perceptive, Mike sees things that a lot of times people don't see. He reads situations really well, and he has a lot of wisdom to share. He has a lot of integrity. Mike, one of the people I admire that way, because he has his principles, his values, his ideals, and he lives them out. And that's not an easy thing to do in life. So for those of you setting off in the world now, finishing your degree, one of the things I'll sometimes say to people, if doing the right thing was easy, everyone would do it all the time. It's not easy, but Mike has a lot of integrity, and he lives his values, and sometimes that may make life bumpier, but I think it also makes life in many ways better. And so that's another thing that I've learned. I mean, it's helped me a lot in thinking about how I want to conduct myself and how I want to do things in my career and in my life. And so another word that comes to mind that fits, at least for me, is mentor. He's been a terrific mentor to me. I've learned an enormous amount about being a professor, about being a department chair, just about being a person, just being a friend, from watching Mike and knowing Mike all these years. And that's, I guess, the final word that I would put out there. And he's been a good friend, and so that has been very meaningful and important to me. And just because he's retiring, obviously that doesn't end, but I will miss having him around. I will miss seeing him, in the hallways or popping into his office for a conversation or a consult on an issue. And those are things that have been incredibly helpful to me. And if those are all things that you can do and people can say about you when you retire at the end of your career, I think that you'll have been a big success in life. And so congratulations, Mike. I'm really excited for you about the next sort of series of adventures that you now set off on. And I look forward to hearing about them and continuing, even though you're not here, to continue to be your friend and emeritus colleague. So congratulations. And I know there's some other people who might want to say a few words. I think Doug was going to say something.
Thank you.
Yeah, I can go next. I came here 2 years after John, so a lot of what he says, what he said about what he appreciated about Mike also, I think is definitely true for me as well. The mentorship was never something that Mike was assigned to be a mentor to the faculty that came after him. It just seemed to come naturally as like his door was open and he would take whatever time he needed to work through, whether it was a question about teaching or a thorny issue with a student or something like that. I always felt like I would get the chance to sort of share what was going on, and his responses were always very thoughtful and sort of problem focused, and fair-minded and level-headed. And I've always appreciated those qualities that Mike has. I think it's probably fair to say, we wouldn't necessarily wish, some of the department meetings we've had on the students. So you may not know about this, the students who are here. It's not always unicorns and frogs with funny hats. So we've had, some great successes, but also some challenges. That's the way departments work. And one of the things about Mike was that whenever he had something to share, which sometimes you could see he was taking it all and he was paying attention, processing it, not necessarily the most words spoken compared to some of the other colleagues, including myself. But whenever Mike spoke up, things got quiet because you knew that he had something that he had worked through, something important, helpful that was going to help move us forward, that it was going to be part of the dialogue that would help us sort of solve whatever issue it was that we were working through. And as John said, often sort of a perspective or an insight that no one else had raised or thought of at that point. And boy, it's great to have something like that at a department meeting, that just like, we're a little stuck and he has something to say. And it was just so helpful to take in, those things. Like John, I followed Mike in eventually being a department chair myself, and I was assistant chair for much of the time that Mike was chair, and I learned so much about how to do things the right way, even if it wasn't the easy way, to dot all our I's, cross all our T's, and just think through like what's best for the students, what's best for our majors. I particularly remember the way that we used to do registration. We all just got through registration, and Mike probably remembers well many hours in the room next to the main office, students streaming in and us manually, pre-registering them for the classes that they needed for that, and all the work that went into that. The thing was that whatever we worked on together, I felt so much pride in the quality of that work that we had. And that's something that I think if you've ever worked with Mike, you felt like, I think that was a really common feeling, like this was often sort of detailed and challenging and nuanced, but you felt a lot of sense of satisfaction that we did it the best way possible. And I think as a whole department, for those who were around at the time, we had a major revision to our psychology major, I believe, while he was chair. And there was a good long time where we were just getting together on a really regular basis as a department, and it always felt like we were just pushing the ball forward down, down the field. And I think we just felt like almost celebratory at the end, like how much we had accomplished. I know there's only a few of us here that were there for that, but Mike has always done like such a great job at sort of widening things out so that everybody he was working with, kind of got that sense of satisfaction of a job well done. And I've always really, really appreciated that. So for all those reasons, I'm also sort of super grateful to consider Mike a friend, and look forward to reconnecting, in the future. And we're going to miss you for sure. And thank you for everything that you've given to the department and to your colleagues, and especially to the students over the last few decades.
Thank you, Doug.
Yep.
I'd like to add too, Mike was on my committee for when I came to the university. He was on the selection committee. So he had a lot of input into like the young junior colleagues that are here. But he's been a member of our HREB, our Human Research Ethics Board, for many years. And when I heard that he was retiring, I was dumbfounded, because he's going to be really hard to replace. Because given everything people have said, that integrity just shines through the work he does for us. Dealing with the research proposals, keeping in mind his values and what's important, but also trying to negotiate that with the researchers, and also sort of being a mentor to the researchers, in terms of how to do this. And we're going to really miss that.
Thanks, Mary Alice.
Giordano?
I just want to reiterate everything that has been said. Of course, I share all of these sentiments. So thank you so much, Mike, for your mentoring throughout the years. I know I stepped into your office, no matter where your office was, many times. I always find you, and I always find you insightful and supportive, and always, as someone else has said, looking at things from a different perspectives, and always inviting us to take some risks, right? At different levels. It could have been, teaching perspective, service, of course, right, and so forth. So thank you so much. You indeed will be missed. I was wondering more than anything else what you're gonna do. Are you going to scuba dive around the world? We want to see the pics, okay? Some pictures, please.
First of all, thank you. And, I don't know yet. I have no idea what I'm going to do. I have no idea where any of this is going to go right now, but it'll go someplace, and I'm hopeful that it'll go someplace well.
The hardest part is going to be those boxes that never get unpacked, that just move from office to office. You're going to have to do something with them now.
Those will be the easy ones.
You just toss them if you haven't opened them in 5 years.
And actually, it's been since pandemic started that I've been on campus, in my offices. So if I haven't used it in the last 2-3 years, do I really need it?
So, John, do you want to wrap this up?
Sure. In an ideal world, we'd be doing this in person. There would be food, but we don't have that. So everyone's going to have to just eat at home or wherever they are. Yeah, I mean, I kind of knew this moment was coming, but you're never kind of prepared for it. I've been, since I found out, I've been very happy for you, but also selfishly, I've been thinking, like, what is this going to be like for me? and you know, it's going to be an adjustment to not have you here. And you know, I still may reach out periodically and try to pick your brain on different things. And you know, I will continue to you know, try to keep in mind all the different things I've learned from you. But I think, you know, that's a really important thing, which is, you know, think of you know, all the faculty that you've had an impact on, and all the students that you've had an impact on, and all the people out there, you know, who aren't here today, who in one way or another, you know, you just by being their professor, or connecting with them in some way in your time here at New Paltz, you know, you've influenced sort of their life and their direction, and what they're doing today. And, you know, that's kind of one of those things that it's hard to quantify. It's not something you can put on your CV. It's not something they, you know, give you DSI for per se. You know, but it's something that's intangible, not so easy to measure, but incredibly important and meaningful, and really what kind of this job is all about, ultimately, I think. Um, and so, you know, I've always seen you put all kinds of things first in terms of students and doing your job that aren't necessarily things that are easily recognized or awarded, but I do think the reward is in seeing the ways in which it has impacted other people and their lives going forward. And so, you know, to me, you've done incredible work here, in so many ways that I, you know, it would take me a couple of hours to go into detail and analyze all of it. And I'm not gonna do that to you or anybody else. But you know, that's really important, and I think it's good to say it out loud. And I think you know it, but I still think it's good for somebody to say it out loud to you and to other people. And so, you know, I'm proud to have been your colleague and your friend, and I, you know that our friendship will continue, and I know that your impact on all of us will continue, even though you won't be here regularly. So thank you, Mike, and congratulations.
You're more than welcome, and thank you. You know, it was really my goal when I first started here to make an impact on one person's life.
Mm-hmm.
And I would have been satisfied with that. And I know that you're right. I have impacted lots of people in lots of different ways. And I'm grateful to have had that experience. And all of you should know that you've impacted my life, and I won't be the same because of that. So thank you.
Oh no, we changed you that much.
Well, it's been, I guess, the shortest 25 years worth of being around a bunch of people. And if that doesn't impact your life, I'm not really sure what would. So thank you. And I like I said, I don't know. I mean, it was a tough decision, in ways to do this. But I think it's the best thing that I can do right now.
Mm-hmm.
And again, we'll see. I mean, life has its ways of taking you places, and I'm ready for a trip. So thank you all very much for letting me be part of everything that was there and letting me in. Because all this talk about, you know, mentoring and whatnot, that doesn't work if it's one-sided. So you folks actually did that as well. Thanks for letting me in.
Thank you, Mike.
So I want to congratulate our award winners one last time and say thank you, everyone. And yeah. And Mike, we're really going to miss you.
I'm gonna miss you guys too. I'll be around, and they told me that I can keep my email address. So,
But will you check it?
it's a different story.
Yeah.